Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Yes, indeed, we've got Honorable Egoh, who is a member of the ECOWAS Parliament and was in the House of Representatives from 2015 up until 2023. Good morning and thank you for coming on today.
I'm honored to be around once more.
Well, you know, this matter about the CBN and FAAN, some of these agencies or units that will be relocated to Lagos, not getting all thumbs up. Some, in fact, Northern Senators Forum, we understand, did kick against that strongly alongside some of the senators who think that it is a wrong move and they think that it may cost the president politically.
Well, I'm surprised that a simple administrative decision, you know, is making senators, important people like that, representing a major section of the country, coming up with arms for war. What is the story? The CBN said their office in Abuja is designed to take just 3,000 people. Right now, there are over 5,000 people there. If there's a small disaster, you know, a lot of lives could be affected. But beyond that, the reason that 90% of the head office of banks are located in Lagos, and this is not political. Nobody asked the banks to stay in Lagos. They are staying there for commercial purposes because they feel that's where they have a customer base. And the bank branches in Lagos alone is more than almost the entire north put together. And the people who are supposed to supervise these branches, the operations department, all the people are in Abuja. So they have to take flight ticket to go to Lagos, stay in hotel, and then supervise.
They also argue that, does it then mean that because the oil resources come from the Niger Delta, we move NNPC to the Niger Delta, or because the agri sector comes largely from the north, we move Ministry of Agri to the north? That's part of the argument.
No, that does not come in. For instance, when you talk about the oil sector, what they need to move into the oil producing area are the oil producing companies like Shell, like Total, you know, all the companies that produce oil. It's reasonable for them to be in areas like Warri, Port Harcourt, etc.
Well, NNPC is no longer that kind of regulatory body. They're also in the markets now.
Yes. So if NNPC is directly inside the oil DC, they have to be where the service. For instance, you look at something like MPA, for instance. You know, MPA, the biggest ports, largest ports are in Lagos. It doesn't make sense for MPA to be in Abuja. Because if in Abuja, somebody who is importing it, and a clearing and forwarding agent, a shipping company who has a small thing to discuss with them at the national level when they have problem during the clearance of their work, we have to take flight ticket to come to Abuja, stay 5 days looking for who is going to see. These are to the cost of business. And these are the things that foreigners are complaining about. So what we are saying is that it is reasonable for FAAN to move to Lagos because 70% of all the international flights, they originate from Lagos. And FAAN is to service them. If there are problems, these are problems service. So what are they doing in Abuja?
So politicians being go on.
Politicians are saying, oh, they must be in Abuja. What they need to know is that Abuja belongs to all. Who founded Abuja? The chairman of the committee that brought the capital to Abuja, Justice Akirola Aguda, is a Yoruba man. In fact, I can say it's a Lagosian because he was living in Lagos. He was the one who reasoned as the chairman. They looked at so many areas. They could have said, oh, let's take it to some other areas in the southwest that is not too congested. But they brought it to Abuja. So they should know the decision to have Abuja is not a northern decision. And Abuja does not belong to them. Let them look at the past elections in Abuja. It's not only Northerners that are winning, and it's not only Northerners that stay in this South. Everybody who stays in Abuja has a stake in Abuja. Just like the minister is running up and down, Minister Wike is running up and down to ensure that these kidnappers and others are no more harassing people in Abuja. So the Northerners should know that Abuja belongs to all. They should stop saying, oh, this is our Abuja. And a man like Udube who is leading them, you know, this is a man who have aspired to become Senate President twice. If he became a Senate President, will he come out and be saying things like this? That, oh, this belongs to the North. Why does it belong to the North? Because it's the capital?
Well, I don't think
it's shocking.
I don't think it's the entire, when you say Northerners, because I mean...
No, it's not the entire Northerners, but this Senate, the group led by Udube.
So politicians being who they are.
Yeah.
What then happens? How do you see this playing out if it if it's a matter that will eventually go to the National Assembly or the Senate, for instance?
No, if it goes to the Senate, I'm sure the Senate will be reasonable enough to listen to the reasons. Look at Emir Sanusi. It's come out. He was the governor of Central Bank. And he said it's a reasonable decision. How can you be supervising job that is 80% of it is in Lagos, and then you are hiding in Abuja? And then when you want to go, you have to take flight ticket. If there's not enough money for flight ticket, it shows that the supervision of the banking sector is going to suffer.
Did he say why he didn't do while he was CBN governor?
Well, no, not everything may come to his mind at that time. He had his challenges too. But if the present governor have looked at it, and I'm sure that the banks in Lagos would have been complaining. They are not servicing them well. And that is where they are. And again, like I said, the banks are in Lagos not because government asked them to stay in Lagos. They are staying there because that's where the commercial activity are. And those who are supposed to regulate them, there's a big office here.
All right.
There's nothing wrong if they stay in Lagos.
Okay, so let me just take this in. We understand that the Supreme Court has affirmed 5-year sentence of former House of Representatives member, Honorable Faruk Lawan, for receiving a bribe of $500,000 from Femi Otedola. Well, would they tell you that the Supreme Court was going to look into that matter, and now they have. So they have affirmed 5-year sentence of former House of Reps member Faruk Lawan for receiving a bribe of $500,000 from Femi Otedola. So that matter has been on for a while, and now this is the final one. So it means that, you know what they say, appeal to God after that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the nail on the coffin there. But let's come back to what it is that we're discussing. You have expressed shock on, this uproar, as it were, this backlash.
It's unnecessary.
Trailing what ordinarily should be an administrative decision.
Economic decision.
So some people will say, have politicians taken it too far?
Yes, politicians have taken it too far. For instance, for Senator Dube, a man who is highly respected and revered, very kind man, is one person that I like a lot. To come to say, Tinubu will have problem with the next election. The vote that elected Tinubu is not from Lagos.
Is it not being realistic?
No, because the vote that elected Buhari is not from Katsina State alone. Every president is elected by all the people from the country. It's not the vote of Northwest, the whole Northwest that elected Buhari. So everybody gets votes from everywhere. And that threat is unnecessary. It's unnecessary because after Tinubu, others will become president.
No,
and if they take decision...
What I'm talking about politicians taking into account, I wasn't even talking about what has been perceived as a threat from, Senator Ali Ndube. I'm talking about the fact that politicians interfere in almost everything. These days, it's very difficult. Some people will say, when governance starts, when we now start to take decisions in favor of governance, it's so difficult to draw the line between where politics ends and where governance should start. Do you think that this should be placed squarely at the feet of politicians?
I agree with you. The duty of course, the House of Rep, the Senate, National Assembly, is to make laws, do oversight, and do appropriation. But they shouldn't go into the nitty-gritty of areas they don't have capacity to handle. A man like Sanusi, who knows what job is part to do, have come out openly to say, look, there's no problem about it. And they are even going further to say, they want to relocate the capital from Abuja to Lagos. I'm sure if somebody is running for election in Lagos, and you say, if I win, I will relocate the capital from Abuja to Lagos, the person will lose the election. Because where are you going to put it? In Lagos? Is it Yaba? Is it Ikeja? Lagos have even developed into Ogun State. In fact, Lagos is begging Ogun State to do some joint program for housing so that Lagos can stay in Ogun State and come. Is it in Badagry? Everywhere is choked up. So,
but that's not a bad idea.
That's just that's my division. But there's no place there to carry a federal capital. You know that. Even Ekpe, All the major things Lagos is doing now, they're moving the track by,
Well,
and there's only land left.
The presidency has already intervened on this particular matter.
Yeah.
That matter of moving the capital. They said, look, this is.
But politicians have been mischievous by bringing it up.
Indeed, but the presidency has already said this is something that is backed by law.
No,
so they have no intention of even delving there at all. I'm just looking at the fact that this is the kind of conversation that we're currently having.
It's not good for the country. It's not good. In fact, we at the National Assembly should restrict ourselves to our primary function. You cannot go into CBN. CBN have given you the reason. Majority of the banks, the work they have to do is in Lagos. Why keep all of them here? Why the banking hall in Lagos is empty? Lagos is not looking for more people.
So so some people will say this is symptomatic of something else.
Yeah.
This protest that we're hearing, and we hear it all of the time when it comes to, I don't want to say sharing the national cake, but wherever it is that you have any thing that has to do with national interest, what you now begin to find is that people begin to look at what is the need for my own people, what is the need for these people, what is the need for that people, rather than looking at how it benefits the totality of the country. So how do we begin to address this? Because some people also point to deep divisions, nestled within our polity, which we're yet to really get past, or even yet to, mend over.
The best way to do it is for government to stand on their position, those who are in charge. For instance, the CBN issue. The governor of CBN should stand by his word and do it. When you talk about the FAAN, and that is Federal Airport Authority, the minister should stand by his word. Some of these departments were just brought to Abuja hurriedly within the last week, 2 weeks of the former minister leaving. Changed everybody, brought everything to Abuja, which is unnecessary. Because 80% of international travelers, international flights that leave Nigeria, they leave through Lagos.
Now, I have listened to that. What I'm saying is, what this points to, because it points to deep divisions, and this is not just. This is the latest that we're hearing, right? There have been other agitations.
Yes.
There have been other types, and some people we even link it to, and you might not agree. You're allowed not to agree. Issues of resource control, issues of our representation. We need to be there. If something is happening in our area, or if something is going to be happening, around us, the person who should be heading it should be from our area, rather than about what qualification or what competence that person brings on board.
I agree with you for issues of resource control. It's, for instance, like an area that produces so much money from VAT. You then carry that money and you share it equally. There are some states, the governors don't bother to work hard to ensure that they collect money by VAT. There are a lot of resources on ground to collect VAT. So much gold is being produced in some parts of the country. All this gold, if you combine it, could be as much as the money that comes from oil. But the governors here and the people here are just sitting on it. They could get a lot of VAT. They don't do that. And then the people who provide good governance to labor business to thrive in the area that has VAT, you say you want to share it.
So in other words,
so there should be the resource control.
So that's the political class is responsible for some of these challenges.
Yeah, they are. But again, there's need for resource control. When you produce, you should be rewarded. So as to encourage every other person to produce. Even in America, all over the world, you cannot be the one producing and others are just sharing it. Then at the other end, you say, why do we need to produce? So it will happen. Again, like you said, everybody wants to fight for his area, but we should do it in a way that benefits the entire country. Because if the economic policies are benefit the entire country, your area will also benefit from it. But if you must kick against everything, all this must be in my area, whether your area will be able to handle it well, whether benefit will come to it from the nation, you don't care. Provided by area. I think that is bad. We should look at the country as one.
At what point do we begin to do that? At what point do we begin to say, no, this is, it doesn't matter which area anybody comes from, this is national interest. And at what point do we begin to say, well, yes, politicians are allowed to, play
the area it will happen is when government restructures the country. When the country is restructured, every state will begin to work. As bad as electricity is, You see, a lot of the states, they don't bother. Whereas every state can produce even 10,000 megawatts of electricity for their people so that some industry can happen in their area. But so long as they believe that at the end of the month, they come to Abuja to share oil money, they don't bother.
All right.
You can imagine the First Republic when Ahmadu Bello built, they built Ahmadu Bello University in the north. Awolowo built University of Ife. Zik built University of Usuka. You know? So at that time, there was competition. There's resources come to the center, but every area take 50% of what they produce, you bring 50 to the center. When you get at that, there will be competition. And more money will come in because states that were before dormant doing nothing will now begin to work hard to generate more income. For instance, there are some states where you have a lot of cows, for instance. The government should show interest on how to provide grazing areas to spend money for them so that tax and VAT that will come from those cows will help the state to grow. But they don't do that. You allow it to wander up and down, destroy people's crops, destroy farmers' crops. At the end of the day, no profit comes out of it.
Ayo.
So we need to restructure. And I'm happy that
Honorable, just 1 second.
About it recently.
Yeah, just a second, Honorable. I mean, you depends on whose book or whose notes you are looking at. You know, this continuous talk about restructuring, because it will seem like sometimes the pushback is actually coming from the politicians. One example is something that you are also very conversant with, and that is the area of full autonomy, financial and administrative autonomy for local government administrations all over the country. Efforts have been made several times by the National Assembly, including times when you were there, for the Houses of Assembly to agree to full autonomy, administrative and legislative autonomy for local government administrations. But that has not been able to happen because there is no consensus at the various levels, especially Houses of Assembly. So if we are going to restructure, and some people, some in the political class are pushing back about certain things, how then can that restructuring happen?
Yeah, the blame for that is squarely in the hands of the governors and the House of Assembly members. You know, a local government chairman, some of them have more vote than one particular House of Assembly member. And then the House of Assembly member is querying the local government chairman. The local government is a completely different tier of government. They are supposed to be independent. They have been independent from the beginning. And we amended the constitution twice, you know, to include it. But the governors and the House of Assembly wouldn't let it happen because most governors are stealing money from the local government. As a result, the local government are not able to do their work. So we are hopeful that with the experience of the current president, we will be able to rein on the governors and the House of Assembly to do it. Because the House of Assembly members, they forget they will not stay in that position forever. And when they leave office, you see that they are offended when House of Assembly decides to sack the local government chairman who they labor to vote for. So at the end of the day, we still need a lot of work on the constitution. We need a lot of work. Talking issue, for instance, about policing. Look at everywhere they are killing people. Plateau State government is helpless because they don't have their own police. Katsina State government is helpless. They don't have their own police. Sokoto, the same thing. Even in Niger State here is the same thing because they don't have their own police. So if you don't have their own police, how can they fight, what do you call it, kidnapping? How can they fight all this killing by baddies everywhere? So every government needs its own state police. It used to happen until Agui Rossi stopped it after they took over government in 1966. You know, that's where all these problems started happening. When they issued Decree 4 that removed all the rights of the states and handed them over to the federal government. So we need to go back there. And nobody will be hurt. Enough money, more money will be coming into the federal government coffers. And
just a quick one, Honorable, if you can hear me.
To be scared.
Yeah, just one quick one before I return the mic to Chamberlain. What do we need to do to engage the elites for everything good and right about this nation, particularly this insecurity and equal prosperity, national prosperity that we're talking about? Elite consensus, particularly among the political class. How should it be approached, and who do you think should lead the charge?
Does it go ahead?
Please go ahead.
Can I? They should lead the charge. You know, the president and the governors should sit down and agree on all these things. Once they agree, the governors will talk to their states, House of Assembly, while the president will be liaising with the Senate and the House of Rep. Because we cannot continue like this, because this country, it is like a father who has about 10 children, so decides to go to farm, so decides to go to school to produce. But once some other children know that, oh, the father still has some money, all they are doing is eating. One day the father will die, and then the children will die of hunger because they are not producing anything. And that's what happened in the case of Nigeria. A lot of the states don't want to produce anything. There's money to share in Abuja. And the money to share in Abuja is so small.
All right.
You know?
Well, thank you very much indeed for coming on, Honorable
Thank you.
Agender Egoh.
Thank you.